In this episode of The Primer, we talk about the contributions of Walter Lawrence in the Land Settlement Survey and telling the story of the people of Kashmir in late 1980s.
Walter Lawrence and the Making of Modern Kashmir. Survey, Settlement and the Story of a People. In the last decade of the 19th century, one British civil servant gave Jammu and Kashmir its first scientific map, its first comprehensive land record, and its first sympathetic portrait in prose. His name was Walter Roper Lawrence, remembered in history not merely as a colonial administrator, but as the man who transformed how the world understood Kashmir. Lawrence arrived in the valley in 1889 as settlement commissioner during the reign of Maharaja Pratap Singh. His appointment followed the political crisis that had led the British to assume indirect supervision over the Dogra administration. The state was stable but opaque. Its land systems were ancient, its taxation arbitrary, and its people poor. The British Residency wanted the kind of statistical, mapped, and codified order familiar from Punjab. Lawrence's brief was straightforward: measure the land, record the rights, and fix the taxes. Over the next 6 years, Lawrence led a team of surveyors, cartographers, and record keepers through every district of the valley. Villages were mapped, holdings classified, canals measured, and soil types charted. The work culminated in the Kashmir Settlement Report 1895, a document that established the modern framework of land tenure and revenue assessment. For the first time in history, the Dogra state knew precisely how much land it governed, how it was cultivated, and who paid for it. But Lawrence was more than a bureaucrat with a theodolite. He had a scholar's eye and a humanist's conscience. What he saw in the villages of Kashmir disturbed him. Cultivators paying exorbitant rents, peasants stripped of produce by tax collectors, and artisans reduced to debt. His report, unusual for its candor, noted the patient suffering of the Kashmiri cultivator and the moral duty of the state to lighten his burden. That empathy found fuller expression in his parallel work, the celebrated book The Valley of Kashmir, 1895. Written in luminous, measured English, it remains the most detailed 19th century account of Kashmiri life, its geography, customs, economy, and society. Lawrence's Kashmir is both paradise and prison, a land of incomparable beauty shadowed by human hardship. His portraits of shawl weavers, Pandit scholars, Sufi mendicants, and village elders read less like an official report and more like ethnography with a conscience. Though a servant of empire, Lawrence humanized colonial administration in a way few of his contemporaries did. He treated Kashmir not as a picturesque possession, but as a living society. His settlement report became the statistical backbone of Dogra revenue policy, while his Valley of Kashmir became the moral reference for generations of scholars and reformers. When in the 1930s and 1940s, Kashmiri leaders like Sheikh Abdullah and Prem Nath Pazaz argued for agrarian reform, they often cited Lawrence's descriptions as early evidence of rural exploitation. After leaving the valley, Lawrence continued his service in India, later writing The India We Served, 1928, a reflective memoir of the empire's contradictions. Yet it was Kashmir that defined his legacy. More than a century later, his observations remain woven into both academic histories and local memory. Walter Lawrence did not found a dynasty or fight a war. He did something rarer. He listened, recorded, and empathized. He mapped a landscape, and in doing so also mapped a people. His work stands as a bridge between statecraft and humanity, between empire and empathy, the moment when Kashmir was first truly seen, measured, and understood.
Thanks for watching this episode of Primer on Jammu and Kashmir. Here is a quick note from the editors of the Dispatch. While dealing with historical events, we are conscious of the fact that history has no single view. In places like Jammu and Kashmir, this can be more complicated. While explaining the events of history through this primer, we are taking the best possible care to be objective and to offer context wherever views differ starkly. We welcome you to write to us and enrich the knowledge base on Jammu and Kashmir.